Tonight on our news, Tropical Storm Erin could become the first major hurricane of 2025. Tonight, Erin is strengthening fast, but the Bahamas isn't in the direct path yet. Officials urge preparedness as government agencies ramp up preparations, especially in the southern islands. Also,
celebrating the day slaves were freed here in Fox Hill nearly 200 years ago. Tonight on our news, we'll bring you the sights and sounds of Fox Hill Day as politicians and community leaders give thanks to God for another year.
Plus, a Marine is charged with abusing boys at an Eleuthera summer camp. He's out on bail, but we'll tell you when he's expected to stand trial later this year. Then in our news at 7:30, we are still tracking the tropics and our coverage comes back into focus. Our news live at 7 starts right now. Welcome to our news live at 7. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Candino Knowles. Meteorologists are warning Tropical Storm Erin is gearing up to become the first hurricane and possibly a major one of the 2025 season within days. The good news is forecasts so far don't show Erin making a direct hit on the Bahamas. Still, State Minister Leon Lundy, who oversees disaster risk management, says his team has been preparing for months and is now keeping a close eye on Erin's path.
So the track now doesn't seem as a direct hit. We're still making sure that we're vigilant and watching it just in case it does make a switch. Even though it isn't showing a direct hit, that'll be out of bounds that'll probably still interfere with the eastern side of the Bahamas that we'll have to deal with. So we're in mitigation mode and we're trying to sort that out now. And tomorrow we're actually inviting all the media out to a presser that we'll have at the DRM authorities headquarters.
Minister Lundy urging everyone to double check their homes and finish any hurricane preparations now before it's too late. You might remember the Abaco Community Center and Hurricane Shelter was vandalized back in June, but officials say the damage was minimal. Lundy gave this update on the shelter's condition and when it will be ready to open.
It didn't do a real setback. As we said, it was some fire retardant equipment that they set on fire. So it was just a minor setback, but they're on schedule. We're doing very well right now, and we should be ready to open up in short order.
What short order?
In short order. It'll be in a few weeks.
And can you give a price tag of what those damages look like?
We'll give the total, and at that time, we'll make sure that everybody knows the price tag that's there.
All right, and while the Bahamas isn't in the direct path, as we heard already, officials still urging residents, especially in the south, to prepare now. Delvado Emmanuel, he's got the latest from government agencies, including BPL. Officials there say crews are ready for whatever comes our way. The story is coming up in our news at 7:30. But before we get to that, we want to check in now with meteorologist Greg Thompson, who has been tracking the tropics all week. Now, Greg, what's the latest? What are we seeing now?
Well, Erin is still a tropical storm, and as you mentioned earlier at the top of the news, it is expected to continue to strengthen and is likely to strengthen to a major category storm. And we're asking, as you said earlier also, please, it's time now to get your hurricane plans in place because we are now approaching the peak, climatological peak of the hurricane season, which is the end of August into September. And speaking of the tropics, this is what we are watching across the tropics. Getting busy out there. We have a couple of areas, but of course, Erin is the one that we will continue to monitor over the next couple of days. The current position places the system at 5 p.m., 17.0 degrees north, 38.3 west, 46 mile per hour winds. Movement is very quickly towards the west at 22 miles per hour, and the system will continue to make that track towards the west, courtesy of a high pressure system to the north. But eventually, by the end of the week into the weekend, we expect that high to back off towards the east, and there's a dip in the jet stream that's going to pick the system up and eventually turn it towards the northwest and eventually north, keeping it away from us. But once again, we're asking you, urging you, if you haven't already done so, please get your hurricane plans in order because we are getting to the peak of the season.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Greg. And of course, we know that things can change very quickly. If you need help preparing for this season, be sure and head over to our news YouTube channel to watch our Storm Navigator with meteorologist Greg Thompson and host Jasmine Brown. It's got all the tips you need, everything you need to know. And of course, stay tuned to ournews.bs. After 2 teens were killed and 5 others wounded in a weekend mass shooting, police, faith leaders, and a parliamentarian took to the streets of the shaken Angliston community. Their goal was to connect with residents and remind them that despite the daily dangers, support and hope still within reach. Joshua Williams was at the walkabout on Monday.
Police officers from the South Central Division hitting the streets Monday evening. The walkabout comes after the community was rocked following a mass shooting that claimed the lives of 2 teenagers on Saturday. Officers going door to door less than 48 hours later to connect with residents who are still shaken up. Police Press Liaison Chief Superintendent Sharia King says it's important for officers to not only solve crimes but touch hearts.
We want to say that this is not something that was ad hoc. This was something that was planned prior to. And so we are just here to encourage, to reassure the community of Ridgeland that the police is here.
One of those pastors present, Christian Council President Apostle Delton Fernander. Over the weekend, another clergyman telling our Danielle Miller that the church is in the community. However, the message seemingly isn't taking root. I asked Fernando why this may be.
I am aging, you are aging, and maybe I'm not reaching those of that generation. However, we've got to bring out teams that are also at that age group that are willing to speak to their generation.
Known as the nation's singing bishop, Lawrence Roll has been a pastor in this community for decades. His heart broken, he says, when he heard of Saturday's mass shooting.
There is no lack of learning. There is no lack of teaching. Everything is here. We cannot run from it. But when you refuse to listen and want to rebel, then the end alternative will be death.
Also present was Anglerson Member of Parliament Glenys Hannah Martin. She says while crime should not be political, it's important for them to show their presence during and especially before crisis strikes.
All of us have to engage ourselves in what we are saying. I think once we start saying that's for you to do, that's for you to do, you find that people relinquish themselves of any engagement in what is happening in this country.
Now the latest we know is that 2 suspects have been taken into custody for questioning. The vehicle also used in that incident has been recovered. Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
All right, thanks for that, Josh. A Marine is facing serious charges after prosecutors say he physically and sexually abused boys at a summer camp in Eleuthera. 26-year-old Ushua Cox appeared in magistrate's court charged with cruelty to children and indecent assault. The allegations include abuse of 7 boys ages 11 to 19 between late June and mid-July. Prosecutors say Cox forced the boys to drink toilet water, forced them to masturbate, and indecently assaulted 2 teenagers. Cox didn't enter a plea and was granted bail with strict conditions, including wearing an ankle monitor and a nightly curfew. He's expected back in court in December for trial. And in Agua, police and drug enforcement officers made a major drug bust yesterday, seizing 6 pounds of cocaine valued at $60,000. The discovery happened just after 2 p.m. at the government dock there, when police say a man handed over a cooler containing 3 clear packages of cocaine, but managed to escape. Police later tracked him down to a home on Russell Street, where they arrested him along with 2 other men aged 19, 23, and 29. Police say a small amount of marijuana was also found during the search. All right, today is Fox Hill Day, a special day not just for Fox Hill residents, though, for all Bahamians. Every second Tuesday in August, we commemorate the day nearly 200 years ago when slaves in Nassau's oldest community were freed. Our Joshua Williams, he's live in the heart of Fox Hill, where the celebrations, we are told, are out to be in full swing. Josh?
Hi, Kendino. It's certainly an historic day rooted in emancipation. This community itself and the celebrations that go along with can be tied all the way back to our African ancestry. And many of the activities you will see here throughout the day and throughout the night is directly tied to our African roots, such as the climbing of the greasy pole, the plaiting of the pole even. You can see it just there behind me. And this, again, is the oldest community in the Bahamas that house free slaves. And although today was a day of celebration, the Prime Minister took time to give the members, or the residents rather, of Fox Hill a serious message. We'll be certain to have that in our 7:30 newscast. But so far, we're standing by as residents from the community and around the island are beginning to file in here on Freedom Park. And we'll be sure to bring you more of it in our 7:30 newscast.
All right, thanks so much for that, Josh. And Josh, Greg is saying to bring him a daiquiri when you come back to the studio. We'll check back in with our Joshua Williams coming up in our news at 7:30. All right, we've got much more to get to tonight, but for now, it's time for your first look at temperatures. Meteorologist Greg Thompson, who just asked for that daiquiri from Josh. He is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg, let's hope he brings it back.
Yeah, and it doesn't melt before it gets here. Yeah.
Very that.
Yeah. It is a warm evening on the outside. That's the reason why we're hoping that daiquiri gets here in time. 87 degrees is our current temperature with a few clouds. East winds at 8 miles per hour. It feels like temperature very warm. 94 degrees is what it feels like on the outdoors. Temperatures right now around the family of islands, all in mid to upper 80s. Once again this evening, 86 in Freepot, 85 in Marsh Harbour, Abaco. We pick up another 86 in Allenstown, Bimini, and in Governor's Harbour. Great Harbour Key, Nichols, San Andres here in the capital, 87. We pick up 88 in Kemps Bay. That's very warm over there. 85 Black Point, Exuma. 86 Georgetown, Exuma. Deadman's Key, Port Nelson, and Coburn Townsend, Salvador, Arthurstown, Cat Island, 87, and into the southeast Bahamas. 86 Duncantown, Ragged Island, Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Delectable Bay, 87, 85 in Abrahams Bay, 89 Providenciales Tricks and Caicos Islands, Matthew Town, Inago, very deep south. You guys are 88 at this hour. Satellite radar composite, this is how things are shaping up across the chain of islands. We do have that ridgified pressure still in charge, and that's going to continue to dominate our weather for most of the week. We expect some spotty showers to be moving in, but no real weather change expected, except the temperatures will be very warm. So once again, we're urging you, if you're doing anything on the outdoors, stay hydrated and make sure you wear some light-colored clothing. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at the tropics is still to come.
Coming up in sports, we look ahead to the NACAC Championships this weekend in Grand Bahama and see where Bahamians stack up against the field.
Hi, I know you weren't expecting to see me here. Now you can find your favorite chicken and snacks in the same place. It's true. Come on in.
Introducing the Doritos Kentucky Chicken Sandwich, a delicious combination of KFC's.
Good, my loyal viewers, Ronaldo Dorset of 10YS here. First of all, thanks so much for watching, but be sure to hit that follow button. If you'd like to see more content like this, follow all of the R News social media pages, and of course, don't forget to turn on your notifications so you never miss out on the top stories from the team, well, from the teams you already trust.
The concert is going to be dealing with how life was in the Bahamas in the past, what has changed, and what still remains the same. I'll be taking them down, I hope, not Memory Lane, but Memory Avenue. There's a big area we're going to be covering.
Nassau, get ready for a night you simply won't want to miss. For the first time in over 40 years, experience an evening with Eddie Menace live at the Amphitheater, Nassau Cruiseport.
More than 20 years in the making and still growing. Everywhere you turn, our news is there. From Charybdis to Karakam and Chogam, the commendation of a queen, the coronation of a king, the controversies, our culture, in times of conscience and collective grief, connecting the stories of a country coming into its own, from then to now and still to come. Our news is everywhere, always there when it counts.
Every week, one show drives the national conversation. On the Record. We challenge the issues, ask the tough questions, and dig deeper. We bring in the experts, the decision makers, and the voices that matter. Our discussions shape policy, influence change, and inform the public like no other. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. and again on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Catch us streaming live on Facebook or catch up with your favorite episodes on our YouTube channel. The conversations that shape the Bahamas start here, on the Record.
What do you get when you're searching for the whole truth?
Less than 24 hours after the body of 12-year-old was discovered on a track road on Faith Avenue, police say they...
You get the most comprehensive half hour of news.
Breach of the party's constitution.
Behind me is what remains of the Victoria Court apartment complex.
Our news at 7 brings you that truth in all of the day's top stories.
Welcome to Our Sports at 7, presented by 10th Year Seniors. I'm Ronaldo Dorset. Let's do show. The countdown is on for the NACAC Championships, and we take a look at where Bahamians are ranked in their respective events headed into competition this weekend. The highest ranking of any Bahamian in the field, Rima Otebor, is top ranked in the women's javelin at 61.94 meters, while Taysha Stubbs is 13th at 50.03 meters. In the 100, Anthea Charlton is ranked 8th at 10.87 seconds and also ranked 5th in the long jump at 6.52 meters. Camille Rutherford is also ranked 14th in the 100 meters at 10.96 seconds. The 100-meter hurdles feature Devin Charlton ranked 8th at 12.53 meters, followed by Charisma Taylor 10th at 12.79 meters. One Bahamian collegiate baseball player is already using his platform to give back to the next generation. Ferron Charlton steps into the coaching ranks to host his first summer baseball camp at the Blue Hill Sporting Complex. The Florida Memorial Lions outfielder partnered with coach Tony Miranda out of Los Angeles to host young campers between the ages of 5 to 13. It has not been a fun time for Jazz Chisholm Jr. and the New York Yankees as they continue their slide in the AL East standings. The good news from last night, the Yankees broke a losing streak and Chisholm hit home run number 20. The bad news, they're still 6 games back of the Blue Jays in the AL East and 3 games back in the race for the AL wildcard. We check in with the latest from Team Bahamas at the Junior Pan Am Games in Paraguay. Swimmers set another national record, this time in the mixed 4x100 meter free relay. Marvin Johnson, Lamar Taylor, Zoe Williamson, and Elise Wood swam 3 minutes 37.23 seconds in the finals to finish in 6th place. In the 100-meter fly, Wood swam a personal best in the prelims and advanced to the A final, where she finished 8th overall in 1 minute 3.37 seconds. That'll do it for our sports. Stay tuned to our news at 7:30 for details on these stories and more.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as new numbers show U.S. prices climbed less than expected in July despite Trump's tariffs. Plus, protests erupt in D.C. as Trump takes over the police. And it's the end of an era. AOL set to pull the plug on the iconic dial-up internet service when our news returns.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
My name is Trevi Williams. I've been a Live Fiber customer since March 2024. The installation process was seamless, effortless, and extremely fast. The gentlemen that came to the installation were very helpful, reliable, very knowledgeable, and the time allocated to do the installation was shorter than the time specified. Yeah, the previous provider I had, I noticed that the internet speed actually had intermittent on the services, so I was very grateful that the live fiber was available in my area. Once I was able to make the switch, my service and everything I needed was satisfied. My favorite feature would actually be being able to add any apps from the Play Store. It's just basically making any dumb TV a smart TV. I do a lot of back-end support, engineering support, helping clients working remotely when I'm from home. The internet is a very important aspect of my job and my life. My name is Trey Williams, and the future is home with a live fiber.
Are you ready for the stormy season? Don't wait until the storm clouds gather. Contact the experts at Alive Business today and let us help you prepare for this hurricane season. For a limited time only, you can get 50% off our Bahamas Cloud, the ultimate solution to secure your data and communications, ensuring they're accessible even in the worst of weather conditions. Don't let the storm catch you off guard this season. Stay ahead of the game.
This is our news. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. New numbers show that U.S. consumer prices increased moderately, though rising costs for services caused a measure of underlying inflation to post its largest gain in 6 months. Lisa Bernhard has more.
U.S. consumer prices rose moderately in July, and a key measure of underlying inflation increased slightly more than expected. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI report, released Tuesday from the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics, showed prices rose 0.2% last month, in line with economists' expectations. That put the annual inflation rate at 2.7%. But core CPI, which strips out food and energy prices, rose to its highest level in 6 months, bringing the annual rate to 3.1%. Above forecasts. That was partly due to price hikes on tariff-sensitive goods like household furniture. Economists also cautioned that prices would continue to rise from President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs, with one telling Reuters that most goods on store shelves arrived months ago before tariffs were implemented, and that those on their way have yet to have additional duties levied. But Tuesday's CPI report did not change market expectations that the Federal Reserve would cut interest rates in September amid signs of a weakening labor market. Meanwhile, concerns are mounting over the quality of U.S. inflation and employment reports following federal budget and staffing cuts that have resulted in the suspension of data collection for portions of the CPI. Those worries were amplified by Trump's firing of Erica McIntarfer, the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, after July's weak non-farm payrolls report. Trump on Monday nominated Heritage Foundation economist E.J. Antoni, a critic of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, to head the agency. Antoni was a contributor to Project 2025, the controversial conservative plan to overhaul the federal government.
Meanwhile, protesters rallied in Washington, D.C. Monday after President Trump said he would deploy 800 National Guard troops and temporarily take over the city's police department, bypassing local leaders. It's the second time this summer Trump has sent troops to a city without state approval. He also warned Chicago could be next. Trump framed the move as necessary to rescue the capital from lawlessness, but city police data show violent crime has dropped 26% so far this year. Washington Mayor Muriel Bowser called the president's claims misleading. Demonstrators carried banners reading "National Disgrace" and chanted "Trump must go now."
Growing up in Washington, D.C., it's very hard to see this city being captured by Donald Trump and making everybody live in fear. I don't approve of it. I just think it's a bad move, and the backlash is going to be really severe against him and his administration. And that's why I don't feel safe any longer in this city because of what it's doing against its citizenry.
Really over-policed city already, and I just feel like DC should be a state. You know, we deserve representation just like people all over the country have. Representatives from all other states are coming to Congress here, and yet we pay taxes just like everyone else.
Mexico will not allow U.S. troops on its soil, despite reports that President Trump signed a secret directive to use military force against Latin American drug cartels. President Claudia Sheinbaum said as much on Friday. Sheinbaum told reporters the United States is not going to come to Mexico with the military and said there is not going to be an invasion. She said Washington had informed Mexico of an order targeting cartels, but it had nothing to do with the participation of any military personnel. The New York Times reported the directive follows Trump's earlier executive order designating 8 cartels, 6 of them in Mexico, as terrorist entities. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the move would allow greater use of intelligence agencies and the Defense Department. And it's the end of an era. After more than 3 decades, AOL is pulling the plug on its dial-up internet service. The company announced on its website this week it will discontinue the service and dial-up software on September 30th. AOL says the change won't affect other plan benefits. The move ends an era for the iconic dial tone and hum that once defined the early days of getting online. Originally known as America Online, the internet pioneer, rebranded as AOL in 2006, shut down its AIM messaging service in 2017, and was acquired by Apollo Global Management in 2021 to become part of Yahoo Inc. Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was August 12th. Then in our news at 7:30, City in Focus returns tonight, and we'll tell you the partnership with GBPA that's showing Grand Bahama's economy is roaring back even stronger. And ex-FNM Vice Chair Richard Johnson switches side, throwing his support behind the PLP. Why he says he's done with the FNM and urging voters to follow his lead. When our news returns.
Concert is going to be dealing with how life was in the Bahamas in the past, what has changed, and what still remains the same. I'll be taking them down, I hope, not memory lane, but memory avenue. There's a big area we're going to be covering.
Nassau, get ready for a night you simply won't want to miss. For the first time in over 40 years, experience an evening with Eddie Menace live at the Amphitheater, Nassau Cruiseport.
More than 20 years in the making and still growing. Everywhere you turn, our news is there. From Caripta to Karakomanchogam, the commendation of a queen, the coronation of a king, the controversies, our culture, in times of conscience and collective grief, connecting the stories of a country coming into its own, from then to now and still to come. Our news is everywhere, always there when it counts.
Every week, one show drives the national conversation. On the Record, we challenge the issues, ask the tough questions, and dig deeper. We bring in the experts, the decision makers, and the voices that matter. Our discussions shape policy, influence change, and inform the public like no other. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. and again on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Catch us streaming live on Facebook or catch up with your favorite episodes on our YouTube channel. The conversations that shape the Bahamas start here, on the Record.
What do you get when you're searching for the whole truth?
Less than 24 hours after the body of 12-year-old was discovered on a track road on Faith Avenue, police say they...
You get the most comprehensive half hour of news.
Breach of the party's constitution.
Behind me is what remains of the Victoria Court apartment complex.
Our news at 7 brings you that truth in all of the day's top stories, sports, and our view of the world. Join me, Kendino Knowles, weeknights for Our News at 7. Stay.
On this day in Bahamian history, August 12, 1933, Cuban President Gerardo Machado y Morales resigned under pressure from mass protests, the Cuban Army, and U.S. Ambassador Sumner Welles. He fled to Nassau before eventually settling in the United States, where he died in Miami Beach 6 years later. Fast forward to August 12, 2021. 128,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine arrived in the Bahamas. Then Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis urged Bahamians to get the shot. And in 2023, Parliament was prorogued to make way for a new legislative agenda ending a 2-year session. Then Provost Marshal Commissioner Clayton Fernandez read the proclamation. All right, if you want to learn more about the events that shaped the day that was August 12th, be sure and head over to ournews.bs. There you can also watch all of today's top stories, and of course you can share your favorites right from Our News Bahamas on Facebook. That's going to do it for us in News at 7. Joining us now, Megan Shepard. She's got the latest headlines. Megan?
Hello, Kendino.
You know I want to ask the question, right?
Settling a debate.
Okay,
an in-house
okay,
debate.
Megan. Daiquiri or daiquiri?
Daiquiri, I'm sorry.
You know
I
what?
said daiquiri.
Okay, I lose. You all lost dominoes. I will lose this fight.
So if you're watching live, tell us in the comments, how do you pronounce it? Daiquiri or daiquiri? There you go.
You know what? Daiquiri.
Daiquiri. There you go. Thanks so much, Kendino. Still to come, City in Focus returns tonight, and we'll tell you the partnership with GBPA that's showing Grand Bahama's economy is roaring back. Here are your latest headlines.
First tonight, a tropical storm Erin could be a major hurricane by the weekend. Are you prepared?
All eyes on Tropical Storm Erin. Find out what officials are doing should the storm make landfall.
And the Prime Minister says he understands why no one has yet to be charged under the Anti-Gang Bill 2024. But that could soon change as he confirms files are now being reviewed. Plus, today Bahamians commemorate the freeing of enslaved Africans in the Bahamas. Our Joshua Williams is standing by live as residents celebrate Foxhill Day, the oldest festival in the country. And later, supporting the growing economy of Grand Bahama, a new Providence-based business is expanding to the second city, offering options as entrepreneurship increases on that island. We've got the details for these stories and more when our news continues.
Dino Notes here, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure and hit that follow button if you want to see more stories like this. Be sure and follow all of the R News social media pages. And hey, don't forget, turn on your notifications so you never miss out on top stories from the team you already trust.
Family, how you look so down? Set up all cold and flu, could flip that frown. All the coughing and that runny nose cannot last. You must come back to work and class. Set them all can deal with that fast, yeah. Try set them all cold and flu, daytime and nighttime too. Try set them all cold and flu and get back to the better you. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Distributed by Lowe's Wholesale Drug Agencies Limited.
At Struckham, we're all about peace of mind. With the latest tools and technology like PestPack, managing pest control just got easier. It's simple. Log on to the portal to review past services or monitor trends. Just tap Service Reports to access detailed records and see how we're keeping your business pest-free. You can even customize permissions so your teams in maintenance and health and safety have real-time access to everything they need. With PestPack, you're in control, anytime, anywhere. Get ready to simplify pest management with just a few taps.
Family, how you look so down? Set up all cold and flu, could flip that frown. All the coughing and that runny nose cannot last. You must come back to work and class. Set them all can deal with that fast, yeah. Try set them all cold and flu, daytime and nighttime too. Try set them all cold and flu and get back to the better you. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Distributed by Lowe's Wholesale Drug Agencies Limited.
More than 20 years in the making and still growing. Everywhere you turn, our news is there. From Charybdis to Caricom and Chogam, the commendation of a queen, the coronation of a king, the controversy.
Welcome to our news and thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard. All eyes now turning to Tropical Storm Erin as forecasters say the system could strengthen into the first major hurricane of the 2025 season within days. While current tracks keep the Bahamas out of the direct line of impact, officials are ramping up preparations and urging residents in the south to do the same. Our Delvado Emmanuel has the update from key government agencies.
All eyes are on Tropical Storm Erin. Hurricane forecasters say the system is expected to strengthen into a hurricane and possibly a major hurricane within days, the first of the 2025 hurricane season. For now, projected tracks do not indicate a direct hit to the Bahamas. State Minister with responsibility for disaster risk management Leon Lundy says his team has been in preparation mode for months and now is keeping a close watch on Erin's progress. While it's still too early to determine the storm's exact path, officials are urging residents in the southern islands to make preparations now. And should Erin turn southwest, officials here at BPL says their crew stands ready for whatever comes their way.
We anticipate by Sunday we'll know exactly what is going to happen to it, whether it's going to turn or come more toward the south. And again, our teams are just bracing themselves and making sure that they're able to respond to any incident that impacts them, flooding or pole damage or otherwise. So yeah, we have our managers every day or every week would update me in regard to that.
Officials are urging customers to take time now to trim trees away from power lines and secure their properties ahead of any potential impact, ensuring a faster restoration process. PPL COO Anthony Christie says they're also in close contact with the National Emergency Agency, monitoring Aaron's track closely.
The DRM has established, they have weekly meetings, so we have representatives there, so our presence is always a part of the discussion in terms of our preparedness and all things that are needed, and each of the members of that group, I guess, support each other in terms of hurricane preparation through whatever resources needed, whether it be shipment of materials, equipment, the communications through the Alive or BTC, as well as through the island administrator. And all that is being coordinated.
Reporting for our news, I'm Delvado Emmanuel.
Thanks so much, Delvado. Prime Minister Philip Davis confident that suspects will be brought before the court soon to be charged after the Anti-Gang Act was passed last year. The Davis administration introduced the legislation last year, April, in response to rising gang violence, which officials say has contributed to a string of murders, daylight shootings, and the loss of innocent lives. Under the law, a gang leader or member can face up to 25 years in prison. Anyone committing a crime as part of a gang or intimidating others into joining one could be jailed for up to 7 years. Despite the clear penalties, no one has been charged yet. Sparing a few seconds on the sidelines of the Fox Hill Day celebrations today, the Prime Minister telling reporters he remains hopeful.
Well, I understand why not. I know they're working on a couple of files now, and very shortly I think you'll see them before the courts.
And as election season ramps up, the public awaits the Boundaries Commission's report in the wake of several constituency split-ups.
The chairman is reviewing it, and we don't think we'll get to it until we have a better understanding of how the register will look. And so he's still working on it.
While as Fox Hill residents celebrate Fox Hill Day, the Prime Minister and community leaders took the moment to renew their commitment to fighting crime, especially in densely populated neighborhoods like this one. Our Joshua Williams joins us live from Freedom Park with more. Joshua, how's it looking down there?
Hi, Megan. We're still here in historic Fox Hill. The celebrations are fully underway. More community members have come into the park. They're patronizing vendors. In fact, if you look just behind me, you'll see a live view of the girls of the community. They're actually plaiting the pole right now. This is a tradition that is rooted in our African ancestry. You can see community members gathered around, obviously having a good time. And in the midst of all of the celebration, earlier today, the Prime Minister and other parliamentarians, cabinet members, members of opposition visited 4 churches today, and the tune was a bit more serious as the Prime Minister continued to bring awareness to the fight against crime that has plagued our nation, especially in the wake of a mass shooting that occurred in the Ridgeland community that took the lives of 2 young teens over the weekend.
While politicians and community leaders gathered today to mark 187 years of freedom in Fox Hill, the recent mass shooting in Englerson remains heavy on their minds. Just this past Saturday, 2 teens were shot dead in broad daylight, with 5 others wounded in the Ridgeland community, one of the worst shootings this year. Even amid the celebrations at St. Paul's Baptist Church, the Prime Minister used the occasion to deliver a sombering message.
This past week has been far too bloody. Every life lost breaks a family's heart. Every shooting leaves another wound on the soul of our nation. We've given the police every resource they have asked for. More officers, more vehicles, better tools, better technology. What they need most cannot be bought. They need a community that will stand with them.
Fox Hill has experienced its own heartbreak before, after a horrific mass shooting back in 2013. Victims were gathered in Freedom Park waiting for Junkanoo results when gunmen in a small dark vehicle opened fire, killing 4 and injuring 7. Dr. J. Carl Ramming, retired pastor of historic St. Paul's Baptist Church, has served the community for decades. He says Fox Hill has faced its own crime challenges over the years, and community leaders must get creative.
It's good when you give them a handout. In fact, that's what they mostly look forward to. But when you try to present something more positive to them, they tend to shy away from that. But I feel that in spite of that, we have to, by all means, find ways to meet them where they are.
From one generation to the next, Assistant Superintendent Jermaine Adderley, officer in charge of the Fox Hill Urban Renewal Division, says it's all about connecting with the youth.
We already targeted some areas, various areas, a lot of areas where crime has occurred, and people are so amazed and they're so happy that we're taking that initiative up.
And yes, although the tone rather this morning was a bit serious, and I'm sure the comments were taken seriously by community members, the mood is a bit lighter this evening. And Megan, I'm going to be honest, I can't wait to sign off and be done so I can walk around myself. I smell the jerk, Megan. I smell the fritters. The homemade limeade is out. I had some earlier. And so I invite the viewing audience at home to tune into our news tonight, but we'll have a full breakdown of the celebration this evening. Megan?
Thanks so much, Josh. Well, we are expecting 2 of everything you get, including the daiquiris. Thanks so much for that report tonight, Joshua. And as you said, we will have a full report on this evening's events in tomorrow's newscast. Jurors have acquitted a 37-year-old man accused of raping a family friend following a trial before Justice Renee McKay. Prosecutors allege that Bertram Fraser raped the 19-year-old woman in the backseat of his Kia Sorento SUV on January 21, 2024. The alleged sexual assault happened while Fraser, who's married with children, was attending a 39th birthday party for the alleged victim's mother. Fraser did not deny having sex with the woman, but said that she panicked and made up the rape claim after her mother caught them. All 9 jurors found Fraser not guilty after deliberating for an hour. He was represented by public defenders Stanley Roll and Danielle Kemp. The second suspect is behind bars in relation to the May 8th murder of a 41-year-old man. Prosecutors say Javon Allen is responsible for the fatal shooting of Ira Grant. According to police, Grant was sitting in his car in the front of an auto body repair business on All Saints Way when 2 gunmen appeared on a moped and opened fire. Grant died at the scene. Allen was not required to enter a plea to the murder charge when he stood before Chief Magistrate Roberto Reckley. Bail was denied and he's back in court on October 9th to receive voluntary bill of indictment papers. Allen's co-accused, Durante Bullard, was charged back on May 16th. 21 Haitian nationals are facing fines and jail time after pleading guilty to overstaying in the Bahamas. The group of 12 men and 9 women appeared before Magistrate Aniska Isaacs today with fines ranging from $300 to $2,500. The judge ordered that those who can't pay will serve between 3 and 12 months at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. Once their fines are paid or sentences served, all will be handed over to immigration for deportation. Officials say they're committed to cracking down on immigration breaches and are urging the public to report suspected violations. Well, former Free National Movement Vice Chairman Richard Johnson is jumping ship as he says he's now throwing his full support behind the Progressive Liberal Party. Speaking on the sidelines of a public consultation hosted by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture on the National Junk Revenue Authority bill, Johnson told reporters he's working to help the PLP secure another term in office. And his reason? What he described as the unfair treatment of former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and former Bamboo Town MP Renard Wells. Both have been denied party nominations for the upcoming general election. Johnson says he will never support the FNM under its current leadership, urging voters to do the same.
I support the Progressive Liberal Party and the Prime Minister of the Bahamas in the second term. For what the leadership of the FNM has done to me, I will never, ever support the FNM under this leadership. And I would advise the public to do so, because if Dr. Minnis could get treated bad, if Renard Wells could get treated bad, if Iram Lewis could get treated bad, if Richard Johnson could get treated bad, if Devin T. Bannister could get treated bad and ostracized by the FNM, who are members or former members of the FNM, who fought for the FNM, if we could be discarded and disrespected, what do you think will happen to you?
Johnson, who served as vice chairman from 2016 to 2018, said he was sidelined and ostracized after publicly criticizing internal party decisions in what he described as the victimization of long-standing members. In 2023, the FNM filed a defamation complaint against Johnson after he claimed that the party's leadership orchestrated an attack on him. Police were called to FNM headquarters after an altercation at the party's Mackey Street headquarters. This during the party's first council meeting after losing the West Grand Bahama and Bimini by-election. Johnson says the incident happened just days after he publicly called for Dr. Minnis' return as FNM leader, a man he says he will continue to support.
Well, Dr. Minnis will have a very challenge on his hand as the incumbent of Galani. I believe he will be successful. I support him 1,000%. He is my man of business in Galani. However, I support the Progressive Liberal Party as the government for the Bahamas.
Well, we've still got lots more news to share with you tonight, but first, meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg, I know we possibly have daiquiris on the way, but what about weather? What can we expect there?
It's warm. We hope the daiquiris don't melt, but Josh, you better bring the daiquiris. And like Megan said, 2 of everything. Fritters and everything. Make sure you bring them. Warm outside our studios. 86 degrees is our current temperature, with the winds out of the east at 8 miles per hour. Feels like temperature is at 94. The story of the day right now is Erin. Erin, a tropical storm, 5 p.m. position, places that system at 17.0 degrees north, 38.3 west, 46 mile per hour winds, and its movement is very quickly towards the west at 22 miles per hour. And Erin will continue on that track as high pressure to the north of that keeps steering it towards the west. But eventually, by the weekend, high pressure will back off or weaken a little bit in the Atlantic, and there's expected to be a dip in the jet stream that's going to be bringing this trough across the north portions of the Atlantic. That will eventually turn the system more towards the west-northwest and then eventually towards the northwest. So that should keep it away from us, but we will continue to monitor this system for the weekend because it's by the weekend into early next week we expect it to get just east of the Bahamas. That's a quick check on Erin. We'll tell you more about Erin later on in our newscast.
Still to come on our news, the power of entrepreneurship. In tonight's City in Focus, our Kendino Knowles explores Grand Bahama's growing entrepreneurial sector as a new business launches to provide more office options. And then 2 landmark buildings in downtown Freepot come down, the demolition marking the end of an era for some. Those details coming up when our news returns.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet.
Grand Bahama has been making waves as a growing business center, and one key player says the island's entrepreneurs are ready to take advantage. Our news anchor, Kendino Knowles, takes a closer look at how a unique workspace and community hub is fueling that growth.
While Nassau often gets the spotlight, Grand Bahama's business community is quietly gaining momentum. One entrepreneur says that momentum is real, backed by partnerships and rising demand for affordable professional office space.
The Grand Bahama Port Authority, they were our first tenant here.
They saw our vision, they believed in us, and they said, listen, we're going to be working in Nassau. Hold up, we want to work out our access. And they've been our client now. They were our first client, they're still a client yet now, a year and a half later.
President and co-founder Levin Wilson runs Access Co-work Suites in Western New Providence. He says this collaboration with GBPA is more than just business. It's a sign the island's economic engine is starting to roar louder.
So we believe in what was happening in Grand Bahama. They hold most of their events here. We support them, and I believe there may be some sort of partnership in the near future in terms of taking this ecosystem to the second city.
From real estate firms to government departments, Wilson says Grand Bahama's professionals are finding value in flexible workspace options that didn't exist before.
There is a shortage of office spaces, especially affordable. Okay, so in terms of the growth in the economy, both here, Grand Bahama, also post-COVID, we have a higher awareness of the ability to work virtually or to work in a hybrid situation has fueled the demand for this kind of business.
And as Wilson's Nassau hub hits full capacity, expansion plans hint at a future where Grand Bahama could host its own thriving co-working community, complete with modern offices, boardrooms, and event spaces.
We're looking for the right space, right? It's hard to recreate what we have here in just any space. We need the right location, and access at One West Plaza provides us that convenience. We have restaurants in the area, the proximity to the airport is just a perfect space. So for us to find something similar to this is a little challenging, but we're working on it because we see that we have a loyal following, and we see that the business is ready to expand.
For now, entrepreneurs on both islands are connected by a growing network, one that could continue to redefine how business gets done across the Bahamas. Reporting for our news, I'm Kendino Knowles.
Well, another eyesore in downtown Freeport is now gone. Work crews have demolished the former Wendy's restaurant that once stood next to the Bloniva building, which was also torn down years ago. The former Wendy's building had been part of the city of Freeport for decades, considered a landmark by many. But after the popular fast food chain moved out, it fell into disrepair, eventually becoming a dumping ground and shelter for rodents and vagrants. Today, the only thing left is a building permit sign. Still no word from officials on what will take its place.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Coming up in sports, we're just days away from the NACAC Championships. One local baseball prospect looks to give back on the diamond. And can anyone, figure out what's going on with the Yankees?
Every week, one show drives the national conversation. On the Record. We challenge the issues, ask the tough questions, and dig deeper. We bring in the experts, the decision makers, and the voices that matter. Our discussions shape policy, influence change, and inform the public like no other. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. and again on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Catch us streaming live on Facebook or catch up with your favorite episodes on our YouTube channel. The conversations that shape the Bahamas start here, on the Record.
What do you get when you're searching for the whole truth?
Less than 24 hours after the body of 12-year-old was discovered on a track road on Faith Avenue, police say
you get the most comprehensive half hour of news.
Breach of the party's constitution. Behind me is what remains of the Victoria Court apartment complex.
Our News at 7 brings you that truth in all of the day's top stories, sports, and our view of the world. Join me, Kendino Knowles, weeknights for Our News at 7. Stay with the team you already trust.
From 2017, one show has set the standard for current affairs in the Bahamas. And that's On the Record, one of the longest running current affairs shows on RTV. We've been the place where newsmakers come to talk. We've sat down with leaders in government, cultural icons, industry leaders, and international experts. From breaking news to in-depth analysis, our conversation sets the tone.
Welcome to Our Sports, presented by 10th Year Seniors. I'm Ronaldo Dorset. Let's do show. The countdown is on for the NACAC Championships, and we take a look at where Bahamians are ranked in their respective events headed into competition this weekend. The highest ranking of any Bahamian in the field, Rima Oteba, is top ranked in the women's javelin at 61.94 meters, while Taysha Stubbs is 13th at 50.03 meters. In the 100, Anthea Charlton is ranked 8th at 10.87 seconds and also ranked 5th in the long jump at 6.52 meters. Camille Rutherford is also ranked 14th in the 100 meters at 10.96 seconds. The 100-meter hurdles feature Devon Charlton ranked 8th at 12.53 meters, followed by Charisma Taylor 10th at 12.79 meters. In the men's 100, it's Carlos Brown Jr. leading the way at 14th with his 10.04 seconds, while Terrence Jones is behind at 19th at 10.08 seconds. Jones is also ranked 19th in the 200 meters at 20.29. In the 110 hurdles, it's Antoine Andrews ranked 10th at 13.35 seconds. More from the field events, Donald Thomas ranks 5th in the high jump at 2.27 meters, followed by Sean Miller just behind, 6th at 2.26 meters. Ken Mullings is 7th in the decathlon with 8,055 points. One Bahamian collegiate baseball player is already using his platform to give back to the next generation. Ferron Charlton steps into the coaching ranks to host his first summer baseball camp at the Blue Hill Sporting Complex. The Florida Memorial Lions outfielder partnered with coach Tony Miranda out of Los Angeles to host young campers between the ages of 5 to 13. A minority baseball prospects HBCU All-Star selection, Charlton hit .276 with 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 41 stolen bases, and scored 33 runs last season for the Lions. It has not been a fun time for Jazz Chisholm Jr. and the New York Yankees as they continue their slide in the AL East standings. The good news from last night, the Yankees broke a losing streak and Chisholm hit home run number 20. The bad news, they're still 6 games back of the Blue Jays in the AL East and 3 games back in the race for the AL wildcard. Chisholm's solo shot came in the 8th inning of the Yankees' 6-2 win over the Minnesota Twins at Yankee Stadium. It had an exit velo of 110, launch angle around 24 degrees, and traveled 374 feet. This marks back-to-back seasons with at least 20 home runs for the all-star second baseman. We check in with the latest from Team Bahamas at the Junior Pan Am Games in Paraguay. Swimmers set another national record, this time in the mixed 4x100-meter free relay. Marvin Johnson, Lamar Taylor, Zoe Williamson, and Elise Wood swam 3 minutes 37.23 seconds in the final to finish in 6th place. In the 100-meter fly, Wood swam a personal best in the prelims and advanced to the A final, where she finished 8th overall in 1 minute 3.37 seconds. In the men's 100 fly, Johnson finished 23rd overall in 56.90 seconds, and Forbes was 25th at 57.36 seconds. Williamson finished 35th overall in the 200-meter free in 2 minutes 15.71 seconds. Over in archery, Laurent Roll continued his competition in the men's individual compound event and was eliminated in the round of 16. That'll do it for Our Sports. This is 10YS, and yes, rankings mean something, but this weekend we're throwing all of that out the window. Time to be complete homers. Back to the studio.
On the other side of this break, Greg is back in the Weather Center with a complete look at weather across the country. Stick with us.
The concert is going to be dealing with how life was in the Bahamas in the past, what has changed, and what still remains the same. I'll be taking them down, I hope, not Memory Lane, but Memory Avenue. There's a big area we're going to be covering.
Nassau, get ready for a night you simply won't want to miss. For the first time in over 40 years, experience an evening with Eddie Menace live at the Amphitheater, Nassau Cruiseport.
More than 20 years in the making and still growing. Everywhere you turn, our news is there. From Charybdis to Karakomanchogam, the commendation of a queen, the coronation of a king, the controversies, our culture, in times of conscience and collective grief, connecting the stories of a country coming into its own, from then to now and still to come. Our news is everywhere, always there when it counts.
Every week, one show drives the national conversation. On the Record, we challenge the issues, ask the tough questions, and dig deeper. We bring in the experts, the decision makers, and the voices that matter. Our discussions shape policy, influence change, and inform the public like no other. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. and again on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Catch us streaming live on Facebook or catch up with your favorite episodes on our YouTube channel.
This is our news. Welcome back. The tropics getting active. Of course, we have a couple of tropical areas that we're watching, but Erin is the main concern. Erin is now a tropical storm. That system is churning out there in the open Atlantic, trying to get its act together. It still has some time, moving into some very warm waters. Current position places Erin at 17.0 degrees north, 38.3 west, winds up to 46 miles per hour, and it is moving very fast towards the west at 22 miles per hour. This system will continue that track as a high-pressure system to the north of that continues to steer towards the west. Eventually, by the weekend, we expect the system to make a slight turn towards the west-northwest. That's courtesy of a weakness in the high, and we do expect an upper-level trough to be moving off the U.S. coast. That helps to turn this away from us, so it should stay to the east of us, but the impacts over the next couple of days, we will anticipate building seas for the weekend, and we're asking you boaters and you beachgoers to exercise extreme caution. As a matter of fact, by the weekend, we actually don't want you in the waters because we expect some very strong swells and some very strong wave action out there. Speaking of boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow, your winds will be southeasterly at 10 to 15 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Seas running 2 to 4 feet. High tide is at 10:58 tonight. The low tide takes place at 5:17 tomorrow morning. Central and southeast Bahamas, rip current risks down there as well. East to southeast winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In the extended forecast, just some spotty showers in the forecast for the next couple of days, but that high pressure will remain in charge. 90-degree temperatures plus expected. Very warm, feels like temperatures, but all eyes will be on the weekend as Erin approaches us from the southeast. And as I mentioned, it should turn towards the northwest and move away from us, but we will continue to watch that system over the next several days. That's our kind of weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
All right, hoping for great news for the remainder of the week. Thank you so much for that, Greg. And with that, we thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepherd. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a safe and wonderful evening. Megan Shepherd here. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that follow button if you'd like to see more content like this. Follow all of the Our News social media pages so you never